All right, you guys. I'm gonna try and be quick with this, but you know how I am. I'm not very quick at anything. Wow, there was lots of jokes there. I opened myself up for. I'm sorry. Hey, I got a mustache here that's bugging me. Sorry, guys. So, hey, listen to this. I've been trying all day. So I heard this morning early that, I guess not early. I heard this afternoon that Judge Navarro was going to release Cliven and Ammon and Ryan Payne for pretrial release. I didn't understand why. I didn't understand what the change of heart had been. I kind of assumed that maybe Ryan Bundy's being awesome in his pretrial release, and so it's given the judge some confidence that it would be okay. I think probably that my mind still hasn't changed about that. But I didn't know whether these guys were going to be released today, whether they were going to be released to a halfway house and they wouldn't have the opportunity to like go out to dinner, or because Plumber Stock would be happy to pay for dinner. I guess, I don't know. We didn't see a ton of traffic. You guys can do better, but there was plenty of people that watched that video. It was a fun video. I understand. So I've been asking. I've been saying, hey, look, am I going to have an opportunity to get around these guys? Am I going to have an opportunity to do something special for them? Am I going to have a conversation? Which anybody that knows me knows that what I value the most is an intellectual, especially a deep intellectual, spiritual, or philosophical conversation. That's what does it for me. And I seek far and wide for people that can have those kinds of conversations. I love them. I live for them. And if I can't find those kinds of people, I'm happy to have those kinds of conversations with my wife, who has become such an intellectual powerhouse. And I'm grateful for her. Hey, guys, I've been trying. I mean, I'm in Cedar City. I didn't sleep much last night. I had to work. I got home, like 4 in the morning. And I couldn't get the video that I did at 3 in the morning to post, and so I fussed with it for a while. I had to unpack and all that nonsense, and I had to be at work early this morning. And when I found out that there was going to be these other prisoners released, I wanted to drive to Vegas, but I wasn't sure it was really going to be worth the time or the money. It cost me $150 to drive to Vegas and back in just gasoline. That probably doesn't even count the maintenance of my truck. And if I send $150 to BundyDefense.com, it makes a much bigger difference than me showing up and shaking somebody's hand. So I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get something more than a handshake out of this. And so I keep questioning. I've been asking for 4 hours now. Is it going to be useful for me to go? And I've tried texting the attorneys who aren't responding. Of course, they're in trial. They're in a sealed hearing that they don't have information about. I've been texting the media people that I've met down there. I've been texting the guy that, everybody that draws pictures and takes notes and does broadcasts. I've been asking everybody that I can get my hands and my phone and my wireless internet on. I've been texting them, asking what is going on. Is this going to be something useful? Should I be? I mean, Kelly, bless her heart, she got on an airplane. She found out, hey, they're going to be released, and she heads to the airport. I think she's maybe still on an airplane. She said, get to Vegas. And I was compelled to get to Vegas, but something kept telling me, don't get to Vegas. And finally, I started getting little teeny pieces of information. And I don't know, Brian Hyde, I guess, is he did an update a few minutes ago. I thought he was in an airplane, so I don't know. I'm assuming that the hearing has ended. I don't know how much of it was sealed and how much of it wasn't, because I haven't been able to talk to my people. To the attorneys that are my friends, to Ryan Bundy, who's my friend and acting as an attorney. I haven't been able to talk to any of these guys. But if it's a sealed hearing, maybe they won't tell me any of that stuff. But there have been some ways that I've been able to get some data. I have a little bit, and then I have a media correspondent that gave me a little blip, and I posted it as a picture here. I blanked out my email address and their email address. Let me see if I can do this without looking to the side. Let me get it on the right screen. Sorry, I'm a computer programmer, and I have screens everywhere, which is wonderful. I would have more screens if I could coordinate them somehow. All right, here we go. So I have this, and you guys probably have this image as well that you're looking at. I saw this coming, I guess, but I didn't. I was confused why the court wouldn't allow discussion of this. They did a study, and it's been clear, they've talked about this study many times, that there's been the study to determine how dangerous the Bundys are, because Cliven Bundy said, we're going to do whatever it takes to keep our cattle running on the land and keep using our water rights and keep our business in order and keep feeding our family. And they said, well, what does whatever it takes mean? And they were perplexed by what does whatever it takes mean? And so they did a study. And the study that they did, let me read I'm trying to remember what it's exactly called here. They did an assessment, a 2012 threat assessment document that the FBI used and the BLM used, and the witness Rugwell admitted to them having it and using it to determine whether or not the Bundys were a threat. And in that assessment, it was determined that Cliven Bundy and his family were not actually a threat. Now, my guess is that when they say not actually a threat, what they really mean is that they are not actually maybe a physical threat or a violent threat, because they're definitely a threat to the status quo. They're definitely a threat to this ideological Marxism that runs our country. They're definitely a threat to socialism and communism trying to take over the world. They're definitely a threat to that. It's an ideological threat. My guess is that this threat assessment was specifically a threat assessment of violence, whether or not they would step out there and kill a police officer. And the threat assessment came back and said, no, they will not kill a police officer. And what we've learned in the trial recently is that there were witnesses of the government that said, yes, we did have people out there. We had agents out there with guns. We had snipers out there. We had cameras out there. And I'm seeing that there was actually a FBI and BLM joint, or FBI and SWAT operation out there on the ranch. And when Cliven and Ryan and these guys hit social media and said, please come stand with us, because otherwise I think we're going to die, they were sincere. Now, maybe they weren't right. Maybe they weren't going to die. But what do you think if your house has military cameras pointing at it and there's snipers on the hillsides and men in camouflage walking around with M16s? Now, they may have been AR-15s. I'm a marksman, and I can't tell the difference until I handle one. Those of you that don't understand the difference between automatic and semi-automatic, that will be completely lost on you. But they were worried for their lives, and they went to social media, which is the most powerful media in human history, and they said, please come help us. And that triggered what I call the Bunkerville stand around. As I watch the videos, I don't really see a standoff. I see a stand around. I see Dan Love on one side of the gate just standing around, and a bunch of people on the other side of the gate just standing around. And it was triggered by this social media call to come stand by us, come stand with us. And it appears that Judge Navarro now has realized that the government knew they were not a physical, violent threat. And they've been lying to the court, and they've been lying to everybody, the media especially. They've been lying, saying that they were a threat. And so they showed up with a SWAT team. But they knew. I heard witnesses say that they had seen the threat assessment, but they won't let us talk about what the threat assessment is. Maybe they talk about the threat assessment in sealed hearings, but it appears from what I've been able to gather today that the threat assessment said that they weren't a threat. And yet the government showed up with guns and camouflage and tactical gear anyway. And I think that the judge finally realized that today and realized that these guys weren't a threat, and there was no reason to spend millions of dollars ferrying them back and forth from the courthouse with a military-style police procession, because they weren't a threat. And they really ought to be out on pretrial release or release to their own recognizance, or on bail or bond, or in Ryan's case at the house of a family member with an ankle bracelet. They ought to be out. We shouldn't be feeding them in prison and beating them up and checking their butthole every day. We should be letting them out to prepare their defense. And the judge realized it. I don't know if she knew this before and it just came publicly aware that there was this threat assessment, and so now she knows that she has to let him out, otherwise she's lost moral authority. I don't know that. What I do know is that, I don't know this. This is hearsay to me. And I recognize, for those of you that understand what the word hearsay means, I wasn't in the courtroom. I didn't get to witness this. I was in Cedar City, but they wouldn't have let me in the courtroom anyway because it was a sealed hearing. This is hearsay. I have I have sources that were in the courtroom or talked to somebody in the courtroom, and that I'm not sure of. And I have some opinions of how that actually went down, but that's none of your business. It's mine. I'm giving you the information that I have gathered. I've spent 4 hours, and I'm a damn good researcher. Ask anybody that knows me. What I've been able to find is that threat assessment said that the Bundys were not a threat, and the government came after them like they were a threat anyway. And they've held them in prison for 23 months. And they were never a threat. And so she's releasing them. And it's about damn time. As far as I can tell, that's going to happen tomorrow. I got a report that it was going to be tomorrow morning. That doesn't make sense to me because maybe they show up at the courthouse and they're stuck at the courthouse all day. And it's Thursday tomorrow, which means they're going to be in court all day long. Now, Friday, they won't be in court. So my guess is that the guards or the police are going to bring them to the courthouse. They're going to drop them off. They're going to unshackle them. They're going to give them their personal belongings. And they're going to say, look, you're free to go now. So they're going to be able to eat lunch in the cafeteria. They're going to be able to either go to the halfway house or to a friend's house or whatever afterwards with an ankle bracelet. And they're not going to have to be shuttled around in the paddy wagon tomorrow. As far as I can tell, that's the case. Now, what I don't know yet, is whether Cliven is going to accept this or whether he's going to hold out for everybody else in this case. The tier 3, and I don't understand all the tiers. I mean, I know what they're talking about, but I don't know all the people that are on the tiers. I'm sorry. I'm kind of new to the details of this case. But Cliven says, look, why should I go free when these other guys who are just standing up for me don't go free? And it's honorable what he's doing. I'm not certain that it's strategic, but it's definitely honorable. And if they're releasing him not because they're thinking, okay, well, Ryan's done a great job and now you can maybe do a great job, and if you do a good job, then these other guys will go free. If that was the case, then maybe it's not strategic. But where they're saying we always knew you weren't a threat, and so you ought to go free, it maybe is strategic because he's saying, look, what about these other guys? You guys remember in the movie Apollo 13? So you got the one guy that they say he's going to get measles or something while they're in space. And so he just goes home, he takes the phone off the hook, he turns off the TV, and he goes to sleep. And then everything goes bad. The defecation hits the ventilation up in the spaceship. And they need somebody to get in the simulator and figure it out. So they have to go to his house and basically break in to get him. And then they take him down there. And he says, look, they're like, hey, do you want coffee? Do you want a big flashlight? And he's like, don't give me anything these guys don't have. They're going to be cold. They're going to be miserable. I want to be cold and miserable just like them. Maybe that's not a great comparison. I love making movie comparisons. You guys will learn that. I'm not real good at sports comparisons. I thought I did a pretty good one this morning, but I was sleep deprived. I love movie comparisons, and that's probably the closest I can come on this. It sounds like Cliven is standing up again to defend those that are being disadvantaged. In this case, it's those other prisoners who came to his defense to stand around with him. And so I don't know if he's going to be released too. I think we'll find out tomorrow. I think if you have a chance to get to Vegas tonight, you may not actually get to do anything with them. But if you get to Vegas tomorrow, you may have a chance to buy those fellers lunch. It seems really likely. And I was able to buy Ryan lunch personally yesterday, and he sat and talked with me, and I loved it. It was cool. I had never had a conversation that long with Ryan, and I value every minute. And maybe you could have that same opportunity, and I might too. But I think I have plans tomorrow evening with my wife, and she's the most important person in my life. And I'm not there very much lately. So, guys, that's the information I have. You guys have the document that I have that sums up what I've been able to gain. It has a little bit, it has the information that I've got. It isn't as deep. We all would have liked to have been in the sealed hearing to know what actually went down. This is as close as I can come by. Hopefully it exposes some of the secrecy and the details that we all wish we knew. And hopefully in time we'll learn the rest of the truth, the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say. There you go, 15 minutes. That might be a record for me, folks. Kelly Stewart had said she might come on in 10 minutes, but I haven't seen her. So I'm thinking maybe that 10 minutes isn't going to happen. But that, she might be on here, and I just didn't scroll. I don't know. Doesn't look like it. But I love you guys. I love the Bundys. I'm learning how honorable it really was what they did and how they did it, and I wish that you guys could all understand what I understand. Hopefully, this new piece of information is as revealing to you as it was to me, and that it will help explain what they're keeping from us. Thank you. That's all. Have a great night. If you have a little extra money, BundyDefense.com is the place to spend it. Have a great night. Bye-bye.